I've never understood why Robyn and Kody Brown told me the story of how they met. Why? That's because the OB isn't a very large church or polygamous group. At that time, I don't think there were more than 10,000 people living in this church. They all knew each other. And when I say 10,000, I mean huge families that are only 2 degrees apart. Families getting married and having kids. That Kody and Robyn only met for the first time in 2008 or 2009 was something I'll never understand. Why? Because the OB has a kids program, right? And throughout the year, the youth group holds dances and other events in different places. And the youth group is run by other people. And I know for sure that Kody and Christine were leaders of the youth group because I've seen their yearbooks. And so they did programs with the kids. And Meri actually used to plan and help facilitate the camps. So, I knew for a fact that this idea that they didn't know who Robyn was didn't line up. Because there are sites for the church in Montana and in Wyoming and in Bluffdale, Utah. There's one in, I think, Cedar City, Utah. And then there's 2 or 3 other sites all in Utah. And then there's a place like in Mexico. I don't know where in Mexico, or there used to be one in Mexico. No, there still is one in Mexico. So spread out throughout these states, they have youth events that are held, and oftentimes the youth events that are hosted, the kids from different states go to the different events. And so my contact that lived in Utah frequently would talk about how they would go to Hawaii, Wyoming for a dance, or they would go up to Pinesdale in Montana for a dance or for a youth event. And then there were camps that were in Utah that are held near the Bluffdale area where they would go out and have like a week-long camp for the girls and for the boys. And I know that the dances that are held also have people attending them. And Kody and Christine were leaders of the youth group during this time. And during that same time, Robyn was in the youth group. All right? So there was no way in hell they didn't know who Robyn was. Also, Christine's cousin Preston married her, right? So Preston Jessup obviously is from Montana, and his dad was in the group, and then Preston didn't stay in the group. His dad wasn't a boss, but he had other family members like uncles that were. And then Preston's grandma was sisters with Christine's dad. Okay, so his mom Diane and Rex are brothers. And while there's like hundreds and sometimes thousands of cousins, you know someone at least loosely if they're your cousin in the OB. So Preston and Robyn lived up in Montana, but for a while and a long time, Robyn and her family lived down in Utah before she got married. She grew up in Pinesdale, then she went down to Utah later. So she spent years in Pinesdale, then they went down to Utah near like the Cedar City branch, not far from St. George. And then she went back to Pinesdale and met Preston as an adult when she was like 18. During that whole time when you're in your teens, you're engaged and interested in the youth group. Okay, and so Robyn graduated from a high school outside of St. George. I think she went to like Dixie and she finished in 1997, but her mom converted and brought them into the OB when I think she was born into the OB because her dad was a member as well. They both converted. So Robyn's been in the group since birth. So she grew up in Pinesdale, and then they moved down to Cedar City, and then she ends up finishing from high school in St. George. And when she was living in St. George, if there were events in Salt Lake and Bluffdale, she would go to them. And the dances are where adult guys meet the young girls. Okay? And McKelty, during her Patreon, recently finally admitted that when girls are young, they are taught how to be good wives. And they are told that in order to be an A wife, you need to have multiple sister wives. You have to share your guy. They train you from the time that you're a child to be obedient and subservient and basically do whatever your husband asks. And your way to heaven is through the celestial marriage, which is in polygamy. And so she remembers going to dances when she was 12 and there being men there. She said that her parents would never have allowed her to get married at a young age, even though she was 20. They didn't allow her to date until she was like 17, she said. And then single dates at 18. So group dates at 17, single dates at 18. I don't know. Something like that. And Melanie and Meri. So Melanie is notes to self and Meri had a chat and Meri talked about, Janelle and Kody getting married and how, there's only one time a month that they do marriages. So everyone in church basically has the same date. And so they had made a choice to get this married in this month of January instead of like February. And she was just upset because why couldn't you have just moved it 1 month? And during that talk, she asked Melanie if she had gone up to Wyoming during that period of time when they were getting ready to get married. And Melanie said yes, she did. And she's like, were you on the trip where the bus broke down? So they would take busloads of kids up to Wyoming. They would take busloads of kids up to Pinedale for like vacations or for dances or whatever. And Melanie made a joke about how she had pictures of it. And this is what she said. Wyoming. Oh yeah, I've been up there twice, I think. But the one that you guys like broke down on the bus. Well, I didn't go on the bus because I had just gotten married the weekend before. So, yeah. But I have a picture box of photo albums right there. One of my other moms just passed. There is a ton of pictures of the ranch of that trip. Robyn and her family when she was tiny because she was good friends with Robyn's mom. And then a ton of pictures of like Win and you and Kody and my dad and OK. A couple of those. That's so funny. Okay, so she references whether or not people went up to Wyoming. It was obviously for a youth event, and she asked if she got it was part of the bus that got broken down. And I'm also pretty sure that Christine went up there as well, and she was still a teenager. And if you remember, Kody and Meri were friends with Christine while she was still in high school before she turned 18. And if you also remember, Kody began dating and got engaged to a girl who was in high school and at the time was either 16 or 17. Melanie is a couple years younger than Meri, closer in age to Meri than Robyn, but younger than her. And she also spoke about how and asked Meri if she remembered that they had an event at her mom's house and they invited everyone over, and she had told Meri that she had invited all of her girlfriends over because Kody was going to be there and Kody was new to the church and all the girls wanted to get a peek at him because there's not a lot of single young men in the church, and if they are, they get picked really quickly. And so she said that when Kody arrived and he was with her, that everyone got their let down because everyone liked him and they were fawning all over Kody because he was fresh meat to the group. He wasn't someone that was born into the cult. So they like strangers because of the inbreeding that happens in this church, and that she didn't say that, but that's part of the reason. And so Kody was like this hot item. So when this topic comes up and she's talking about how in 1991, she is going up to Wyoming and it's a youth event again, and a bus breaks down, right? And she's like, yeah, I've got a lot of pictures of that time. And she says how she has pictures of Win and Kody and Robyn because her mom was really good friends with Robyn's mom. Now, she said when Robyn was really little, Robyn would have been 13 at this time, 91. But more importantly, Robyn was part of the youth group. So, if Robyn went up to Wyoming, and I'm sure she did, she knew Kody when she was a kid. She knew who he was. All the girls were after him. She didn't marry him first. She ended up marrying Preston, but she definitely knew who he was. And this idea that they only met because she suddenly came to Bluffdale and met him at church is ridiculous. Because the youth group kids, they all know each other, or they know someone who knows someone. And again, Christine's cousin married her. So Melanie is putting Robyn in Wyoming. And also Robyn, having been to Pine, having lived in Pinedale, would have gone to Wyoming too as well. You know, as an adult, if they were still engaging in church events, even though she and Preston weren't in the church. They might have still gone to church, or maybe she did. I don't know. But Robyn was in the youth group. Christine was in the youth group. They were all in the youth group unless they weren't in the church as kids like Janelle. And then when she said she had pictures of her in Wyoming of Robyn, and maybe I'm mishearing it, maybe there are just other pictures of Robyn, but she had it in the same conversation. It reminded me of how Meri made a comment several seasons ago, and she had said that she and Kody started the family when Robyn was 12 because they got married in 1990. And I thought that's a weird thing to say. You know, what does that have to do with it? You know, yes, she is younger, and yes, at the time she was younger, and yes, at the time she was 12. But they didn't get married until she was 30. And then it hit me. There's a high chance that Robyn knew them when she was 12. There's a high chance she knew who Kody was when she was 12. There's a high chance Kody knew who Robyn was when she was 12. And so when Meri said that, I was like, ooh. And then I started thinking about Kody. He was dating a 16-year-old when he was like 22, 23, and there's a past. Once you hit 12 years old in the Ube, you can go to dances. So Robyn would have been 12 in 1990. A lot of these weddings are watched by the whole church. They're not real like invites. It's whoever goes because everything is done on one day. So a lot of people go to these events because they're all held on the same day and everyone gets married on the same day. So it's like a big event where most of the church goes. And so Robyn could have been there. Robyn could have been at events leading up to the wedding. Robyn could have been in the youth group when Christine and Kody were running the youth group. So, Kody and Robyn definitely had to have known each other when she was a child. So when I heard them talk about having pictures of her, and it sounds like they're from her being in Wyoming, and then you have to remember there's lots of girls that are around Kody, and it doesn't mean that he necessarily was looking at her. But from Robyn's point of view, she made a beeline down to Utah when she found out Kody got the show. She knew exactly who he was. She knew exactly who his family was because she wasn't a stranger. And I just feel like none of them are being honest about Robyn and how they knew Robyn when she was a kid. Christine has admitted she met Kody when she was a teen, and then she didn't marry Kody in air quotes until she was like 21, but she still liked Kody when she was not even out of high school. So there's a high chance that Robyn could have also had a crush on him as a child, which makes me now feel like Meri's comment about starting the family when Robyn was 12 just gives me like the ick at a whole new level. 12-year-old girls go to dances, and old-ass married men check out the young girls at these dances and see who's available and who might be interested. And I've heard stories of girls that are like 14 being told by their moms to dance with these old guys, to not say no, to just be nice, because you never know. And then I've also heard that they'll set up the women in relationships when they're sometimes 16, if not 17. Lots of teenage marriages happen in this group. They just don't talk about it. So that kind of gave me the ick pictures of Robyn in Wyoming when she's a kid at the same time Kody and Meri are doing their wedding stuff and their relationship stuff. No wonder Meri said that we started this marriage when Robyn was 12. It all makes sense now to me. One day I want them all just to be honest about that. At least Meri's admitting that the young girls get groomed and they are basically told they need to marry old men. At least she admitted that from a young age, she's been told that she needs to do this to go to heaven and that she's trained into this. And at least Mykelti admits that they're groomed into this and taught from a very young age, and then from 12 years up, basically are for the taking by these polygamous men. And the girls think that because the guys that have more wives are more elite and have more power, a lot of times they go for the older guys because they want to get into the heaven kingdom. And they're told that their only way in is that way and you have to have at least 3 wives. When are they going to actually just be honest about all of it? Do you think Robyn will ever be like, "Yep, I did. I met him when I was 12. Gross. So gross. So gross." At least Christine accepts it, but not Robyn. This puts just another layer of ick to me when it comes to this situation. So, what are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, bestie.